I have an embarrassing secret to tell you, and that's that I love isekai characters. Not just like your casual underdog isekai characters. I love things like Shield Hero and stuff, but I enjoy watching overpowered character turn people to dust with a single touch of their finger. I'm sorry, it's amazing to watch. It's hilarious and the dopamine goes wild. Now in a game like Dragon Ball Z, or in a franchise I suppose, take your pick, you would think that the legendary Super Saiyan of legendary awesomeness and epicness would be able to one-shot a robot with a gun attached to his arm, but actually, you're going to be fighting to the death with that robot, and you know, your life might just be threatened by that robot. Legendary super epicness of legend, you know, who doesn't matter. The robot's 6 levels ahead of you. You're going to die here. Oh man, if only there was a way to solve this problem. What's that? The training chamber. I would do the training chamber, but it's just so slow and lore accurate. I can't just spam levels. I can't get too strong. What do I do in this situation? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever ended up in a situation such as that, let me tell you. The Power Awakens Part 1 and 2. Terrific DLCs that came out for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I don't remember when they came out. I'm not going to give you a date because you thought this was well researched. Either way, let's talk about this DLC. So as you could probably catch from the title of being Part 1 and 2, they kind of, or their storyline to build off each other. And by storyline, I mean they're 2 different arcs mashed together into one DLC. And, you know, that's fun. I enjoy it. The first DLC serves as basically a glorified training room. Now, what's really interesting about the DLC in this game is that you go into the menu and access it. Now, you might be wondering why that's such a strange thing. And, you know, let me just show you why it's a strange thing. I started up a new game a little while ago. As you can see, right here, Attack of the Saiyans, started the game, 7 minutes in. This is right after Piccolo. You might be wondering, well, why is he Dargon level 13? There's no way he's at the start of the game. Well, let me show you. So, like I was saying earlier, if you go to your menu, you can see that you have your DLC here. We're currently, as of making this video, we're currently at the 23rd World Tournament. So, as you can see here, you click on DLC. Can't click on Part 2 because you keep saying God. So you're like, oh, well, you know, let's see if I can click this. Obviously not, though, because it's the end of Z. Oh, wait a minute, I'm going into the DLC. Now, here we are at Whis'. Here we are at Beerus' planet. And as you can see, we have a massive white pillar of light there. That's to get back to the main story. We don't want to go back to the main story. See, now, what we can do here is, we can talk to Whis. He's going to give us some dialogue. We really don't care. And as you can see here, recommended level 5. Well, that's not hard. What are these sacred waters? We have all these challenges. Extra sacred waters. What do they do? Well, let me grab some and show you real quick. Anyway, so if you go to view challenge conditions, you can see all the achievements or challenges that you have here. So, super attack, defeat a super attack, you know. And look at that, Whis is dead. Goku's too strong. GG. So as you can see, we failed to get the first one, but we got the second 2. So we got 13 sacred waters. So now here you can see Beerus walks up, and we can actually get Kaioken before even fighting Raditz. That is insanely early that you can get it. I love it. Now, how do these sacred waters work? Well, if you look at these sacred waters, you can see that we have 13 of them, and they work between levels 1 to 50. 5,000 XP. So as you can see here, you just click on Goku. Man gets hydrated. This is what hydration does for you kids. And, you know, you just level up. And that's the DLC in a nutshell right there. You do that until you get Super Saiyan God. And every time you do one of these, you'll move on to, you know, another one. So, like, after this, I'll have Super Saiyan available. And Vegeta, you know, he gets his Super Saiyan 1 and 2 available. And this keeps on going until level 200. Essentially, you see that there's super sacred water. Well, it just scales up every time. So these are between 50 to 100. Or 1 to 100, I suppose, would actually be a better way of putting it. Since any character can use any variant of sacred water. And yeah, that is the main idea of this DLC right here. Now that hopefully you have a basic idea how this DLC works and what the idea behind it is, I just wanted to go over a few pros and cons over why I think it's good and if it's not, and why it's not good. You know, do you want to buy this? Would you like a pro and con list? Well, you're getting one. So let's start off with a pro because I like being a positive person sometimes. Fast leveling is so needed in this game just because in the base game, I'm going to paint you a scenario here. In the base game, once you're done with the story, your source of XP dries up really quickly because the story gives you a ridiculous amount of XP, right? And by the end of it, you're around 75 to 80, yeah? You know, you got Vegeta, Goku, and Gohan. Vegeta's like 10 levels behind Gohan, and Goku's like 3 to 5 levels behind Gohan. Yeah, and it's really a pain in the ass to get XP. And you know, one of your first things to do is, well, the training chamber, level it up to 10, get that bonus XP off of the community board, off of, I believe, training board. You can get like 150% extra XP or some shit like that. And then you slap a Mega Mass level 5, right? And that's another 50% XP. And then you go fight Boyan, or whatever her name is, and the highest level, the level 100 one. And if you're not level 100, this fight kind of is a pain in the ass, especially since she can summon allies. It's not super hard, obviously, but for the XP you get about 500,000, yeah? And that is not very much XP in this game whatsoever, unfortunately. That's like maybe half a level. And it takes about a minute and a half to kill her. You know, I gotta re-say this. It is not half a level, my bad. It's like maybe a quarter of a level, around like level 100. I know where my characters currently are. I'd be doing it all day. I'd literally be fighting her all day for a single level with all those bonuses. So you run into the problem that like leveling up becomes really hard to do in base game. But fortunately, a lot of base game quests tend to cap off around level 80 to 90. So the only thing you're really struggling to fight at that point is villainous enemies, which is what I was doing at the time. And I couldn't find a way to really level up fast enough. I spent about 10 hours fighting, not 10 hours. I spent about 5 hours fighting Boyan. And I finally thought, well, I know that the DLCs have really fast leveling because I've seen people start the game with Super Saiyan God Goku. So, you know, probably a pretty fast way to level up. And oh, by jolly was a fast way of leveling up. I managed to get Goku up to like 250 within, I don't know, maybe like another 5 hours. It was pretty fast. And honestly, it was pretty entertaining the entire way through. Also, the dopamine you get from leveling your characters up multiple times in a row, unbeatable. One thing I will say though is that if you're coming into this game brand new, never played it before, I would advise not playing the DLC because it will really trivialize a lot of the game's combat. Well, I won't sit here and be an ardent supporter of the combat because I do like the combat. Do not get me wrong. I enjoy the combat. I love the spectacle of it. It's very pretty. All the animations are gorgeous. And, you know, now that I've gotten more used to the game, more so than last video I made, I have become more comfortable with using the combat and combining things. You know, there's a little bit of patience involved in all of it, but you will trivialize those things. You will not get the interactions mid-fight that you typically would with characters. You won't get to see their special attacks that they spent time making, little dodging mini games, essentially, like with Frieza or Raditz. And that is something you'll miss out on. And that is a little bit of a buzzkill, in my opinion, since, you know, in Dragon Ball Z, a lot of these moments are meant to be stressful. So I think, in a way, you're supposed to push the character into stressful positions while playing a scenario such as Vegeta killing all your friends, you know, like one of those, you know, just a thought. I must also say it's incredibly awkward to go from punching Raditz once and knocking him out to, you're weak, you can't join us, and I'm taking your kid, and Goku's damaged. Like, I just went Super Saiyan God on your ass, Raditz. You should be obliterated. I'm gonna mesh these 2 points together since they're basically the same thing. This DLC basically has an altered story. It's based off of Battle of Gods, as I'm sure you know. But the story is altered. You kind of just wake up on Beerus' planet, and Beerus is like, entertain me, peasant. And Goku's like, hell yeah. And Vegeta's having a PTSD, as usual. But in that, in that context, let's keep going. Once you're doing all this training, and you know, you're going through the story, eventually you get to the point where you can have Super Saiyan God. Super Saiyan God, I think, looks better than Blue in like every universe. I think the red, the slimmed down body, I don't know, it has a nice clean look to it. It's very appealing to look at. All the animations are beautiful, and oh my goodness, that red God Kamehameha, we don't even need a ×4 Kamehameha or whatever the hell it was called. We got this one, God Kamehameha, and it looks amazing. And also, my last little point here for pros is that this entire area, as you can see in Beerus' planet, is very interesting. And by very interesting, I mean not at all, and I don't know why I said very interesting. But, you know, you fly around, there's orbs, there's these time trials that allow you to do, like, a quick time trial for one sacred water, and it's like, why? That's kind of useless. I'll just go kill Whis in, like, 30 seconds for, like, 10 to 15 of them. And other than that, there's orbs around, which is kind of nice because one very important thing I have not mentioned this entire time is the fact that you do not get any Z orbs while fighting Whis or Beerus. Literally none. You will not be leveling up your abilities unless you play through the story or even getting access to some abilities. The only things you're allowed to skip through is getting the Super Saiyan forms, Kaioken, and the God forms, and then the abilities that come with the DLC. You can get those if you get enough orbs. But past that, you are not really getting any of your abilities, so you're sticking around with level 1 base abilities still, which is a bit of a hindrance at times. Now on to the cons, everybody's favorite. Let me give you a reason to hate something. Everybody loves that, right? So, something I noticed while playing through this is that Beerus and we started going down easier and easier. You know, not only am I getting better at combat, but I'm also just getting much stronger than them, you know. And I think that's disappointing. There's really nothing to work towards. Like, maybe Beerus could have had, like, a uber boss level that was, like, 300 at this point. You know, just, like, 50 levels above what the player could be. So it's like, actually, oh, I'm fighting the god of destruction. Even my strongest forms are barely putting a dent in him. Oh, man, how am I going to make it out of this one? I can't use hill items either? I have to play this perfectly, otherwise I'm going to be a fucking puddle on the ground in a few minutes. And, you know, there's an intensity to that is just addicting. But you don't really get that after a while in this DLC, which, fair enough, after you played through the DLC for 5 to 6 hours straight and leveled up your character to as high as you can, you know, that's supposed to be it. But it's kind of sucks because you get all these cool things, but you can't even go back to the base game and use these things, really, because everything is still like level 80 to what you call it. And even the enemies that scale to like level 200 or whatnot go down even if you're in base form in like a few hits. And if you have a party, you're literally going to clobber everything to death. And if you transform, there won't be anything to clobber anymore. Your fucking aura's just going to burn them alive. So that's something I noticed is a problem. I also want to say that I don't really enjoy how you access these DLCs. I think going through a menu is convenient if you want to just level up quickly and have fun at the beginning of the game. So you don't have to go through all the story, all the unskippable cutscenes and whatnot. You know, it's like 5 hours of just content that you have to grind through at that point to get into the super stuff. But I kind of feel like there should have been like a divergence point in this game where at the end, there was 2 paths and they should have extended both paths where they could go down GT or Super. And I know this is possible because they have things like the time machine there. So the technology is possible. It'd be like, oh, Goku, I found another dimension where you're a kid and, you know, kind of a jolly jackass. And Goku would be like, ah, cool, let's go fight him. And, you know, just something stupid like that. You know, you don't even have to, like, adhere to canonicity anymore at this point. You could, like, make interactions between GT Goku and Super Goku, too. Which, I mean, they already have with Heroes. So, you know, that's something that I find is kind of a letdown because of how separated it is from the base game content. You could never really do something like that unless you wanted it to be an awkward interaction through the menu. And one last thing is that I did not realize that you had to go through the menu to access the DLC. So I was trying to access it through off-world locations and I couldn't find it, and I thought I just wasted my money until I realized, oh, you go into the menu to access the DLC. That's confusing. It's not a big deal, it's just kind of confusing. It also allows you to access the DLC the moment you have the menu, which I'm assuming was intended. And really my last big con here is that even though Beerus' Planet has like the Secrets for Success books and stuff, that is all it has. There's really nothing interesting there. If you fly around the area, like, oh, it's Beerus' Planet, it's neat, I'm at Beerus' Planet, yeah, that's about it. You just, it's the feeling of just being on Beerus' Planet and being excited about that, and that's it, really. Past that, the only thing you do there is Whis and Beerus just train, which I guess is what they do in the show. Either way, those are probably the worst cons I say overall. I can't really say it's like horrifically bad because of these points. It's just some things that I feel are iffy. I also feel like I get that they weren't the central focus of the game, but the base game characters completely left behind. Gohan, don't touch Gohan. He's too weak. You don't want to use Gohan. He just is too weak. If you try to use Gohan, you will immediately feel the power difference between a character like Goku or Vegeta and Gohan, which, oh yeah, the show and whatnot. Which, yeah, fair enough. But I mean, once again, don't make me bring back the picture of the robots. Okay, Gohan should be able to fight robots, you know, relatively successfully. Might be wondering, well, what about part 2? Does that fix up the slight cons that this DLC has? And I'm gonna be honest, yes. Am I going to talk about it right now? No. I'm gonna make part 2 video for that because this is going on for a while. But yeah, no, these are my overall thoughts so far about the Power Awakens. I love leveling up fast. I love Super Saiyan God. I love having extra abilities. I love these extra finishers. That's something I hadn't even got into yet. I'm gonna have to get into that next time. Just the amount of skills Goku and Vegeta get is crazy from these DLCs. But until then, yeah. Should you buy The Power Awakens Part 1? I think if you play through this game and you just want to have fun, go around, one-shot Raditz, go Super Saiyan God against Vegeta. Fuck you, a Prince of the Saiyans Elite. I'm a god. You know, just something like that. I don't know. It's a lot of fun, and honestly, I think I truly do actually believe these are worth purchasing if this is a game you enjoy. Obviously, if you're just buying the game, buy the base game, play the base game, and see if you enjoy the base game. Because if you do not enjoy the base game, you are sure as hell not going to enjoy the DLC, and that's just kind of a fact with this. But overall, it is fun. It is great to have that resource to level up your characters fast. And if you want to ignore it until you feel like you're at a decent point in the story, you can. There's no pressure to go do it. So yeah, I'd say it's worth buying. Anywho, yeah, so part 2, I don't know. Maybe next week or the week after. I'm going to have to work on it for a bit. But till then, I have a video on the base game. I think I need to redo it. But if you want to check that out, that's there. And if you want to leave a like, subscribe. Oh, I'd be so grateful. But till next video, see you next time.